Hello everyone, and welcome to week 9 of Study Skills. Also welcome to week 3 of Study Skills class at home. Trust you're all doing well, keeping up with your schoolwork and all. 2 weeks ago we introduced a system of note-taking. It's called the Cornell note-taking system, and this system is used obviously to take notes. It's also a system that you can use to review your notes on a regular basis as you go through the course, and review your notes in preparation for big exams, midterms, finals, things like that. This system helps prepare you well for them. This is also a system that you can do, like we just said, daily to keep building this information into your mind, but also primarily the value is getting ready for tests. And we talked a little bit about how to lay out sheets to do memory cue reviews, to do summary reviews, and these are all putting the information deeper and deeper into your mind, into your memory, so that you can not only remember it, but you can recall it when you get to that moment on the test when you need that information. Then last week we talked about strategies for getting prepared for tests and exams. One of the first things we talked about is you want to make sure you get the most from the teacher prior to the exam. You want to make sure that you ask the teacher all the right questions, that you make him or her take some time to hopefully spill some of the information that they know about the exam that you want to know. You want to make sure that you ask them very specifically what material is on this test. And that's a fair question, and often that will help you to focus your study, because often the teacher will, when he or she says, well, what's on this test is this and this and this, those are going to be certainly on the test, but some of the high points and most important things to prepare for. You want to ask the teacher also what's not on the test, and include things like, what about our class discussion? What about all those handouts? What about the textbook that we read some, as well as our class notes and things like that? Are those on the test? Because often the teacher will narrow down what's on this test by saying, oh, no, there's nothing in the handouts that I sent home. Those were just supplements. There's nothing on class discussions here, even the presentations that these other students did that were valuable information. If it wasn't in the class lecture from the teacher or the textbook, then it's not on the test. Golden. So now you've narrowed it down some, if you can get the teacher to go through what's on the test, what's not on the test in front of everybody, because they want you to do well on this test. They wrote the test almost for sure. They want you to do well. They're going to tell more than certainly more than they're going to share unless you ask them. So, and also you want to make sure that as you get ready to prepare for a test, you want to make sure you have a clean set of notes, a full set of notes. You want to make sure that if you missed a day, or if you look over your notes and you realize, oh, I missed this whole section because the teacher was talking too fast, you want to make sure you sit down with a classmate or figure it out, so you have a full, clean set of notes before you start on your test preparation. The other thing you want to keep in mind is you want to pace yourself, particularly for the big exams, for the big midterms, the big finals. You want to pace yourself. Every research project that's ever been done, every researcher that does research on this issue will conclude it is far, far better to study a little bit each day in preparation for a big exam than to spend a foggy, caffeine-filled night trying to cram in an all-nighter to get ready for this test. Okay, so that was last week. Now remember, your homework from last week. Your homework from last week is due by the end of Thursday. Most of you are watching this video here on Thursday. So remember, your homework from last week, it's due today by the end of the week. So what you want to do there is you want to pull it out, you want to take a picture of it, and you want to email it to me. My email is on that homework sheet. At the bottom of that homework sheet is my email. So that's kind of where we end up today. So what you need to do now is take out your class note sheet for today. You should have gotten this. It's probably attached to the the video, or you may have gotten it in an email. But anyway, you want to pull this out. If you don't have it, or if you haven't printed it out yet, go ahead and pause the video and then go ahead and print this out, because you'll need this for the class we have today. All right, today we are going to continue the topic of test preparation, strategies for big tests, final exams, midterm exams, those kind of things. And so let's get started here. You know, up at the top of the paper it says here, strategies for successful test preparation continued. And it starts off, the battle has begun. You have to remember that that tests are a challenge. They're your battle. They're your challenge. And so as you go through high school and college or trade schools, or wherever you go after this, your life is going to be full of some sort of instructor putting a white piece of paper down in front of you and saying, okay, use your short and long-term recall to fill in all these answers correctly. So learning how to prepare for a test is a very, very important skill. After you get the information you need from the instructor, and after you have a clean set of notes, one of the first things that you want to do, again, major tests, final exams, midterms, those kind of things, is set up what we call your war room. Now, some of you have seen the movie. That's a different kind of war room. But you want to set up a war room at home. You want to set up an area now that's just set aside to get ready for this test. So after number 1 there, it says it's time to set up your war room. W-A-R-R-O-O-M, war room. The idea there is you are setting up a place to get ready for a test, to prepare, to study, to prepare for a test. So first thing you want to do is gather all the tools, T-O-O-L-S, that you'll need to be fully prepared, P-R-E-P-A-R-E-D. You want to set up the tools you'll need to be fully prepared to do this kind of review and preparation and get ready for test day. Hold on, we got it's 2 o'clock here. All right, so you want to have the things that you need. You want to have your notes. You want to have your Cornell notes. You might want to have fresh Cornell note-taking sheets if you're going to, redo your Cornell notes, or if you have things that you're studying. For example, if you're working on the first semester notes from this year's study skills class, you don't have any Cornell note-taking sheets from those. So, I think part of the homework this week is to go back there and create Cornell notes for the earlier days of our class. So anyway, you want to have your Cornell sheets there. You want to have your notebooks. You want to have whatever tools that you need to spend some time getting ready for this test. Number 2, use your newly learned study skills. Use the study skills that you've been learning this year. Set up a study schedule, S-T-U-D-Y. Set up a study schedule. Schedule is S-C-H-E-D-U-L-E. So number 2 here, use your new study skills. Set up a study schedule for the time you need to be fully ready for test day. First of all, you want to use your week at a glance calendar. So under here it says use your week at a glance calendar. WEEK-A-A-GLANCE calendar. CALENDAR. DAR. You remember the Week at a Glance calendar. It's a calendar that has 1 week on it. You can kind of look ahead of time to see what's coming up, but you want to use it in a different way. You want to have you want to see, oh, here's the exam over here. Here's the final exam, the midterm. So you back up on your thing and you start out maybe on Monday. You start to plan out what areas you're going to cover on Monday and learn and study and prepare for on Monday. You want to, in other words, you want to take the whole thing, divide it up into 5 or 6 parts, put it on the calendar so that you know, okay, today I'm going to focus on chapters 1 through 3, and I'm going to redo a memory cue review on all of that stuff. I'm going to try to create questions that might be on the test. I'm going to focus on that. I'm not going to worry about the rest of the stuff for a while. I'll start that next Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, whatever it is. I'm going to complete all that, but it's in my Week at a Glance calendar where I am budgeting my time, and that's the next line there is budget your time. BUDGET. Budget your time. And that's the idea is you lay out a little bit every day rather than wait till the end and it's all piled up. Use the strategy of divide and conquer. And that next line is divide and conquer. DIVIDEAND. Conquer. CONQUER. Now, you all remember divide and conquer, the whole idea of taking an overwhelming task, dividing it down into smaller, more doable parts. And that's what you're doing. Preparation for a big test is an overwhelming task. If your preparation for a final exam, you're preparing and rethinking and relearning all that stuff from first semester as well as all that stuff from second semester. You want to divide that all up, conquer it piece by piece. And then you remember the phrase that we use to sort of illustrate this. Dig your well before you get thirsty. So on the lines there it says dig and then your well, YOURWELL. Dig your well before you get thirsty. THIRSTY. You remember the story. Guy's out in the desert, dying of thirst. He sits around, he gets sweaty, and pretty soon he doesn't have any energy to dig his well. Better to dig your well before you get thirsty so that you can have it ready when you need it. Okay, let me see here. Here we go. Number 3, line 3. Think of test preparation. Here's an idea how to think about preparing for a test. Think of test preparation like a fire drill. FIREDRILL. We used to at Thursday classes. We used to have fire drills, and there used to be a little sign on all the walls there that would show you here's where you are, here's how to get out of the building. And so we would train by pulling the fire alarm, making sure the kids knew from this door, from this room, where I need to run to get outside the building if there's a fire. And so then they'd all gather, and the kids would all know where they're supposed to gather out there. Teachers would count them, make sure they're all out, those kind of things. So you train yourself, it's the next line here, train yourself to know the facts, FACTS, and the plan, PLAN. Train yourself, like in a fire drill, train yourself to know the facts and the plan so that when the time comes for you, it's written here, for the time comes for you to prove you're prepared, you will be at ease and be able to easily follow the plan. FOLLOWTHE, the plan, and recall important information. In the same way that when you hear a fire drill, if you know I'm in room 29, I go straight across the gym, over by the kitchen, out that door, down and into the back corner of that parking lot. by pulling the alarm a few times and having kids pour out of different rooms and go to their assigned places, after a while they didn't hardly think about it. Oh, I'm in this room, I go this way. And so the whole idea is you train yourself to know the facts and the plan so that when the time comes for you to prove that you're prepared, you'll be at ease and easily able to follow the plan and remember and recall the important information. Same way, you sit down, you slap that test down there, you have trained yourself so that most of the questions you see, already been there, already thought about that, already have a memory cue on that one. And there you are. You're ready to just crank those answers out because you prepared. You knew where to go in your mind. You knew how to pull it out. You knew where it was. You knew the answers. You're ready to go. This will help you to avoid brain freeze. B-R-A-I-N. F-R, it's two words. B-R-A-I-N, freeze. F-R-E-E-Z-E. This will help you to avoid brain freeze on test day. And some of you may have already experienced brain freeze when it comes to tests and quizzes. You certainly will when you get to high school and a test question comes down and you go, I know this. I remember hearing about this. I can even picture the teacher talking about this. Brain freeze. You can't recall it. You can't pull it up. That's the thing that you can avoid by being well prepared for these tests. Number 4, practice recitation. R-E-C-I-T-A-T-I-O-N. Practice recitation with your memory cue reviews. When you're practicing, when you're working on this, when you're preparing for this test, practice recitation. Remember, recitation is self-talk. It's you asking yourself questions out loud. It's you reading the memory cue and speaking to yourself out loud on how you're going to remember that and things that brings to mind and those kind of things. Is the whole idea of self-talk. You would practice self question and answer. This is all part of this recitation thing we've talked about several times. Self-talk, practice, question and answer. Use your summary and question and answer review. Here it says use your summary, S-U-M-M-A-R-Y, and your question and answer review, Use your summary and question and answer review to prepare for possible test questions. T-E-S-T-Q-U-E-S-T-I-O-N-S. Use your question and answer and your summary review and your question and answer review to prepare for possible test questions and to review this information. The more ways you put this back into your brain, the easier it's going to be for your brain to recall it and get it down on that paper as an answer. Consider using a voice recorder, V-O-I-C-E, recorder, voice recorder, R-E-C-O-R-D-E-R. Consider using a voice recorder when you do this for questions and review. That's always kind of nice because you're not only reciting out loud, doing a self-talk that's going back in your ears, reformulating itself, but now you get your voice on tape so that when you're out and about, you can put earphones on that. You can sit in the car on the way to sports practice or whatever, and you can have your earphones in. If you're sitting on the sidelines watching your brother or sister in soccer practice, and you got some friends around, you want to make sure that they think that you're still cool, even though you got your earphones in. You know you're listening to your own voice doing self-talk, but you can just, if they look at you to see what you're doing, you can just always put some head bobs in there to make them think you're listening to some good music. All right, number 5, consider setting up a study group. S-T-U-D-Y-G-R-O-U-P. Consider setting up a study group. much value in preparation for tests by doing it in a group. It gets, first of all, they might bring things up that you had forgotten to put in as a priority. By just asking each other question and answer, by debating how important certain parts of this information are for the test, great preparation. Group study. Study group, I mean. All right. So that's it for today. Don't forget, there are no classes next week. No videos, no homework, no new homework, because there's homework for today. But next week, no class. And we won't come back until 2 weeks from Thursday, which I believe is the 19th of April? 16th. Yeah, April 16th, sorry. So no classes next week, Easter break. We'll see you the following week, April 16th. Don't forget that last week's homework is due Thursday by the end of the day, this week. Today, for many of you, if you're watching this today, you just take a picture and email it to us. Several of you have mentioned that the Calvin comic that we showed on video last week was unreadable, and you were not happy about that. So I will send by email. So I probably have your parents' email. However you get emails from me for Study Skills class, by Thursday morning I will send out last week's Calvin comic and this week's Calvin comic by email in a way I think you can zoom in and get a chance to read it. So take care, wash your hands, behave yourself, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks.